I am Paul John Per Mendoza. I will share to you the development of my chosen subject where I did naturalistic observation. In this video, it will showcase different clips that will talk about different kinds of development in certain fields. There will be physical development, motor skills development, language communication development, cognitive learning development, and social emotional development. Let us start with the physical development. This is Prince BJ M. Gatong. He was born on October 11, 2014. His weight is about 3.10 kg from the moment he was born. His eyebrows are thick and black. His nose is quite pointed. His ears are also quite big. This is him when he's still an infant. At 2 months old, his weight are doubled. In this age, he can now remove his mittens, but still, there are no signs of clear movements like fine or gross. In this age also, his height also increases a bit. His eyes were black. It is like doe eyes. At 4 months old, his hair started to grow. It became black and thick. His cheek also became chubby that made him look cute. That is his physical development from 0 to 4 months old. Now we will look at him the moment he reached 1 year old until 8 year old. Bear with me while watching. It is going to be interesting that will help you see and learn about physical development. This is him the moment he turns 1 year old, 2 years old, and 3 years old. He now became taller. His eyes still remains black, that is like doe eyes. At 4 years old, his teeth grew. This is him when he turns 8 years old. That concludes his physical development. Now we are about to discuss his motor skills development. Now, let's have the motor skills development. In this development, it will showcase how BJ is used on his movements. This will also showcase fine and gross movement. Let us watch the video that shows him playing. Let us also pay attention to the movements. Let us see how developed and used he is in his motor skills development. In this video, it shows him playing with his cousin. You can see that he is used in his fine movement. He can hold the ball and dribble it. Also, he is fine with his cross movements. He can run, jump, and run fastly. Also, he is more into gross movements rather than fine movements, but either of the two, he can use it well. Now, we've already seen his motor skills. It shows how used BJ in his movements. There is a movement where he always uses his cross movement. His fine movements were also quite fine since he can easily hold the ball. At his age, I've observed that his motor skills are good. He can use his movements so well. From that, he can play well by his own and even with friends. In terms of his development, he's quite used with his motor skills. Also, when he's playing, I noticed that he always used large movements. Based on my observation, he's more into gross movements rather than fine movements, which I can say that BJ is quite strong. However, it seems that due to large movements he performed, he easily got tired. Now we are done with motor skills development. We are now about to witness and discuss BJ's language communication development, cognitive learning development, and social emotional development. Let us see on the next slide of this video. We will now be watching the videos of him that shows his development in language, cognitive, and social emotional.
Nanganganak yung isa at the beach. Party in land. The Yeah. Dito ako.
You can notice that he is having a hard time. In motor skills, he can all go by his own, but in language communication, he seems to hard time, which clearly means that he needs to be guided in order for him to be able to learn to read. On the next video, he is guided by his sister. Let us see if there is an improvement or development.
1, 5, how, do, ano, anong lalagay? Ano yung lagot? Ha? Check? Eh, may
Now that he is being guided by his sister, he is now able to read. Through the help of his sister, BJ can read the words that he can't read before. Even though he becomes impatient sometimes, still he is trying that with the help of his sister. Also, I have observed that if he is on his own when it comes to language, cognitive and social emotional skills, he seems to have a hard time. Unlike on his motor skills, he can be on his own. Therefore, I came up with a conclusion. Based on my observation, naturalistic observation on BJ's development, I've come up with a conclusion that in developed language, cognitive, and social emotional development, he really needs assistance in order for him to be able to improve to acquired development, which I can relate to Levi-Vygotsky's theory, the ZPD or the zone of proximal development. BJ is having a hard time in these fields, therefore an adult will be really helpful to him to be guided. Because as I observe him, he really needs someone that will look out for him. That's why it is really a must for him to be assisted and guided. At his age, 8 years old, he can use his motor skills so well, from fine to gross and from gross to fine. But in language, cognitive, social, emotional skills, he should be guided by someone he can rely to for him to be able to cope up and meet his development. As for developmental tasks by Sanchok, PJ is clearly on middle and late childhood. This is where the fundamental skills occurred and child control. Therefore, it is a must that BJ should be guided and assisted. To sum up, from what I've observed, PJ can be on his own in terms of performing motor skills. However, in language, cognitive, and social emotional skills, he is having a hard time when he is on his own. That's why in his case, the APD of Levi-Vygotsky will be of help for him to navigate his upcoming and continuing improvement and development. Development is a lifelong process. There will be lots of activities that will come in order for us to develop. Therefore, it is a must that you will be there for your kids' milestones and guide them properly.